Good evening, lords and ladies, boys and ghouls, and welcome to a very special episode of the Behind the Fang podcast. Not only because it is our very first live episode, we have the Aperion here with us, and he's got some great answers to some great Halloween questions. So let's jump right in. Aperion Oberon, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, Aperion Oberon.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
It sure is. It is the season. So first we want to ask you about the new live streams, the channels in the PV group, and everything. Can you tell us a little about how this came to be?
I certainly can, and it pleases me to no end to thank everybody who is on this first live podcast that is being produced by a number of different vampires and members of the Progeny teams. First thing I'd like to do is make a couple of announcements with regard to these streams. The Progeny Vampire YouTube stream has come about, and it's in its infancy at the moment. But it is modeled after the many years of Diabolic Domino's podcast streams and the rest of the streams that he has been putting together for many years, so that we will be mutually utilizing both Progeny streams and systems and videos so that you can all be part of that. On another note, what nobody is aware of at this point in time, which I am going to make you all aware of now, is there is going to be a new Progeny Vampire website. The website is progenyvampire.info. It was recently purchased, the domain was purchased, and we are in the process of getting ready to put it together. If there is anybody out there who is familiar with HTML, give me a shout. I'd love to hear from you. We're also in the process of putting together a completely new video production team, which will include Ning and Craigie, as well as Diabolic Domino, Mysticue, and a number of other individuals who are well-versed in how to produce these live videos as well as video productions. At some point in the future, I am going to be giving a video tour of all of the areas involved in the entire Progeny system. A lot of the areas that none of you have ever seen. All with the idea of making roleplay our main focal point. And on that note, what's your next question?
Wow, is all I'm going to say.
I know, right? Oh, wow, we're totally honored. And it sounds like some very exciting stuff coming up, the evolution of Progeny. Wow. So let's talk about the new war sim. Can you tell us more about this?
I would be happy to. The Progeny War Sim was recently came online. The reason for it being is with the number of complaints that we have been getting from the various sim owners and Linden Labs and all of the nonsense that's involved with various vampires having fights and wars and biting and this and that. Well, let's face it, folks. Vampires are evil critters, no doubt in my mind. And you have a right to fight. And that right to fight in any way, shape, or form is going to be afforded to all vampires that wish to do so, not a requirement. You may do so on the Progeny War Sim. Babu is currently moved the Ravage over to the Progeny War Sim, and as time goes on, my hope is that it will become a popular place for everybody to go and roleplay and have their fights, have their wars, enjoy killing each other, because that's what it's all about. And we will go from there. It's a question of the more folks that want to make use of this, that eventually I may just turn that into a full estate sim, which would allow for up to 110 vampires on there at the same time. It is going to be restricted strictly to progeny vampire use. Next question.
I really like that, and it gives people a lot more safe of a place to be than Voice Island or any other of those big sims. So that's great.
It's a lot more fair. Justice will be served.
So
yes, there are no rules, and that's the key to it. On the Air Wars, which is at 1,000 meters and above, there are no rules. You can use whatever HUD you want. You can do whatever you want up there. And it will not violate Diabolic rule. It will not violate System rule. It will not violate GCSE. It will not violate Renegade rule. You all can go up there and beat the living hell out of each other.
No, I like that.
Yeah, I like to watch that. And for all you people that like to go to Freebie Galaxy, now you don't have to do that anymore, you see? No need.
So we have
A lot of people like to go there because it was lawless. So this will be good. No rules.
And there's a lot of different people that really enjoy hanging out in the war areas, so it's going to be great and have its own little social aspect. I can't wait to see it. So Progeny Vampire is celebrating 13 years this Halloween, and we hear this is going to be a great celebration. The Source Slasher event. I am proud to be performing there myself. Can you tell the community more about this epic milestone and what is all in store for us?
Well, I know it's the 13th anniversary, and my team, which is the Diabolics and the Ancillary Diabolics, are the ones who have been pulling this all together. And they know more about it than I do, but I know it's being advertised heavily, and I just want the entire community to feel free to come and enjoy. That's what it's all about. I mean, unfortunately, I don't have enough knowledge about exactly what's going to be transpiring to be able to give you a definitive answer.
Well, I mean, that's enough for me. Besides an amazing set of music from some very talented DJs, it's going to be a great celebration. So make sure you come on down.
I think it's 15,000 linden in prize money too for different contests.
Oh yeah, I did hear about that. There's definitely 15,000 lindens in prize money for various things that are going to be happening. And feel free to question anybody in the Diabolic Conclave except for me, and they can give you more details about exactly what's going to be transpiring. Progeny has grown so huge over the past decade that it's virtually impossible for me to keep track of everything all the time in every single detail. That's why I have a team that I'm proud of.
Yes, they all do incredible work. So 13 years. Did you ever think that you would see it? 13 years. That's a long time.
Yes, it is. Considering I've been in here for almost 16 years.
Oh, wow. So now the new HUDs, everyone is dying to know. They've seen the Source's YouTube videos showing the progress of the new HUD. Is there anything you want to speak on about the new updates?
Well, I have been observing and speaking with the Source on a fairly regular basis, as has the rest of the Conclave. And I know that he is working extremely hard, and he's absolutely enthused by the fact that there is so much interest in developing the role play within the system, developing the various systems that we're coming up with. I can't say too much because that's his bailiwick, not mine. Granted, I do have some inside knowledge, which I will not divulge, but it's going to be wonderful when all of these items come out. Let's put it this way. I know he's put out some YouTubes and some information in the COL about the various buttons and how he's working on them, and trust me, it's going to be fabulous once it's completed.
It does look amazing. Maybe we can put that link in here too in the chat for the sources channel so people could check those out in case they have not already.
Well, yes, and I'm very excited to see it. I've been in Progeny for quite a few years now, and not one HUD change, so that is very exciting news. And moving on to a little controversial subject here, we're talking about incorporating humans, inviting them into our layer, so to speak. Tell us about this. We've seen them at many events. Even at Terratown, there was a familiar event. Is there anything you wish to say to the vampires that are kind of upset by that? Some see it as a masquerade no-no. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, this is a very good subject. There are two classes of humans. There are familiars and there are quicks. Quicks are humans that have no knowledge or are not supposed to have any knowledge of progeny. Familiars are humans who live under the auspices of a given vampire. At some point or another in the future, there will be a familiar HUD, which will allow a familiar to pledge their allegiance to a specific vampire. At that time, there will be no masquerade violation because humans can be utilized at that point, familiars can be utilized at that point as part of your family. That is the whole design behind the familiar role in the system, is so that vampires can either have them in training or have them as food, period. Their replenishment value as far as blood goes, that's being worked upon and being fixed so that I don't have to ask the source to revive all of the quicks and familiars every so often, like I've done in the past. For the vampire. And it will also give us food supply will stay out there for the vampire or another. And it will also give us an ability to be able to transition familiars at some point or another into the thoughts on other species within the system, therianthropes in particular. We are talking in the conclave, the Diabolic Conclave, about just how the therianthropes are going to become a part of the system. I don't want to disclose too much at the moment because we're still very much in deep conversation as to which way we want to go with that. So on that note, welcome familiars that you see on the system, because there is a Progeny familiar group, both in Discord and in World. And those groups are allowed on the Progeny Sims, because once the Halloween season is over with, the Sims will go back to being locked down to just the Progeny groups again. And they will not be open for everybody in creation. So please keep that in mind as we move into the future.
Understood. And very interesting.
Will do. Yes, definitely. So, Aperion, if you want to address anything, any other announcements to the community, otherwise we can go ahead and take some questions from the audience if you like.
I'll be happy to take questions. In Discord, there is a podcast message area where you can feel free to type a question. I don't know if this is also working on the YouTube side or not, but I'm sure somebody will let me know.
And keep it in mind, everyone, it's going to be respectful. We got our eyes on you.
I see Shorty is typing.
With so much going on this Halloween, it's going to be great. And I will comment on the familiar aspect of it all. It's going to give Progeny a nice little well-needed boost, hopefully, as well. So I'm all for that.
A lot of exposure, a lot of new people coming in, a lot more role play.
So we do have a question from Mrs. Shorty Chatterbox about the
Shorty's question is, with the
Mr.
familiar art coming out, will the laws be altered to match? That entirely depends. System laws be altered? Unknown at this point in time. Will GCSC laws be altered? That's up to the GCSC. Will Renegade rules and regulations be altered? Again, that's up to the Renegade. And this is something that is part of the role play of the system that needs to be addressed. And this has to be done in the council. Between the House Council making recommendations for rules changes to the GCSC, and also to have open communication with the Renegades. I feel that the Renegades are a very important part of this system, as does the Source. They can be obstreperous. That's a good word. Time. But we appreciate their being a part of the system. And many of them have had some very spirited debates with me, as well as GCSC vampires, as well as the Archers. Source love the Archers, but yes, they do have their opinions, and I do respect them. So, onward and upward. Any more questions?
While we're waiting for some more questions. Oh, he's typing again. Aperion, can we also ask you about the PLS, the last case? Is that too controversial?
The PLS, just so that you are all aware, PLS is under the auspices of Diabolic Cassie and Liz. The two of them have my complete confidence in their ability to be able to maintain the PLS in the manner in which it has been designed and implemented over the course of the years. There has been some controversy over this last case that was wound up in the hands of the Diabolic Conclave. And one thing I'd like to point out to that, the Diabolic Tribunal, Conclave, is that the controversy behind that, we as a conclave, and myself as the Aperion, did not question the guilt or innocence of the party. That had nothing to do with the decisions that were made. The party that was involved decided that they wanted to appeal the sentence. And that was the only thing that was considered by the Diabolic Tribunal. Had nothing to do with the guilt or innocence. That was entirely up to the PLS and the arch judges. Any other questions?
Well,
does anyone else have any other questions for the Aperion? Oh, we should ask you too about the new blood work. About the new blood work sim.
The new blood work sim, again.
Yes.
Liz and Cassie are our chief architects and builders of those lands. I am so proud of everything that they've done. I think that is absolutely wonderful. It gives me the opportunity to go out and explore. I think that is absolutely wonderful. It gives me the opportunity to go out and explore. I think that is absolutely wonderful. It gives me the opportunity to go out and explore. I think that is absolutely wonderful. It gives me the opportunity to go out and explore. I think that is absolutely wonderful. It gives me the opportunity to go out and explore. Again, like I said, I'm exceedingly proud of the entire Diabolic Conclave, the Arch Conclave, the clan leaders, and everybody's infernal. And that's one thing I'd like to straighten out for everybody out there at this point about infernal. An infernal is an individual that has been chosen individually by a diabolic to be their infernal. They do not answer to the entire diabolic conclave. They answer strictly to the diabolic that has put them in that position. So that if Cassie has an infernal, I do not control that infernal. It's plain and simple. The infernal is more or less like an administrative assistant, executive secretary, and answerable only to the diabolic that has appointed. So if someone has been an infernal in the past and wishes to be an infernal again in the future, they must go back to their original diabolic and ask them to bring them back onto that particular position. I hope that clarifies that particular position within the system.
Absolutely, yes.
Well, and I like how you said that too. It makes it clear that a person just can't be an inferno for multiple people. It's one set diabolic that they answer to. So, well said.
That is correct. And on that note, let's see, wow, 22 minutes we've been online. I love it. It's like a regular television newscast.
Yes, this is very cool. Hope we can do this again.
Without the commercial interruptions.
Yes.
Yeah, no ad breaks. I love it.
Do you want to talk about the ball tomorrow? A scried ball?
That's the Arch Ball is tomorrow, correct?
Yes.
Starting at 10 a.m. Like I said, keeping track of everything that's going on, I need a team of administrative assistants. And it's
a lot of stuff.
A lot going on these days. And I will probably be there myself in the afternoon because Sunday is the first day of my real life work week, where I actually see 5 clients tomorrow. So I will be a little bit late getting in, but I will be around. And it looks like it's going to be a very good affair.
Oh yes, I got the tunes lined up too, so.
Yes, and I think each of the bloodlines decorated their own Halloween house to represent their line, which is very exciting. And I heard that humans and familiars are welcome, so the sim will be open.
And that's great.
Cool. All right, on that note, everybody, I'd like to thank you very much for listening tonight. And let's do this again in the near future.
Yes, it's been a real pleasure having you here.
We're so honored to be able to do this. Yes, thank you so much.
Wait a minute. Babu is coming up with a question. Oh. He's applauding. Thank you, Babu.
Sir Babu, happy Halloween. And on that note, folks,
Halloween
make sure you come on down to Terrortown, check it out. There is some amazing work. Diabolic Mystique and others have done some great work. Plenty of rides, plenty of prizes. So make sure you come on down and check that out.
Watch your notices, folks. It's the only way to stay updated. Oh, is it closed to the group only? Okay.
Yes, tomorrow there will be no familiars at the Arch Ball. It's strictly the A class. I'm kidding.
Okay. So Tuesday, Halloween then.
And don't forget Terrortown, please.
Yes, Tuesday is at Terrortown. And so I hope everyone can come on down and come to the Sources Slasher. 13 years. Do you feel lucky? Craig, it's your lucky day. Get down there and win some linden.
Oh, I will be there. I've loved every Halloween event that Progeny has put on since I started my journey, and that was, I'm not even sure when, it was Par's superhero event for Halloween. And I've had a blast ever since, so very excited to see all the great people out.
Me too. Outstanding. We wish it could be Halloween every day, but year round. Sadly, no. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for joining. And as customary, they pay me to say this. Happy fall, y'all.
And thank you very much from myself and everybody here at the Progeny Behind the Fang podcast. It has been a blast, and we will see you all next time.
Yes. Thank you, Aperion.
You're most welcome.